This is a complete nightmare. This is what you don't want your toolbox to look like. You've just tapped into Jetboy Co's toolbox and a toolbox breakdown for motocross specific tools, dirt bike specific tools. This, again, this is enough to rebuild a full dirt bike. What's in the top? I have a whiteboard in here. I like to write little stuff on here, some suspension stuff, some things to focus on. Then I have tape. I've got some duct tape and just electrical tape. You never know what you're gonna need it for. I like to keep this area real simple. So I have a tire pressure gauge that I got at Harbor Freight. I have a shock pump that came, or fork pump, came with my Huskies. And then I have my torque wrench. So I've got a torque wrench here. Nothing's fancy, got it from Harbor Freight. A lot of this stuff came from Harbor Freight. And then again, a bolt, magnetic bolt tray to just hold in all my bolts and stuff. Again, Harbor Freight special. And then honestly, this was something that I did just to remember earlier in the year. These are torque specs for some of the common things that I work on my bike. And I honestly just put them on just a shop rag and threw it in here. And honestly, I've left it and just used it all summer. It's kind of nice, makes it easy for just referencing it versus, you know, doing it on my phone. So that is the top. Very simple, very easy. I don't have a lot of stuff up here. I don't like when it's cluttered. I like it simple and clean. So that's how I run the top drawer. From the top drawer, we're gonna go to our two top smaller drawers. So we're gonna start with this one on the left. I keep all of my Allens in here. I like, honestly, I don't know where these came from, but this is super handy. I like having these free like this. This just makes it super easy. This is one of my go-tos. I do have a T-handle Allen that I do use sometimes, but honestly, these get used more often than not, just because the Allens with this curved head makes it easier. This is for my forks. This came with that, so you might not have that or need it. And then I have one of these as well. I don't use it very often, but I have it just in case. Just in case, like if one of these gets rounded off or something like that, which hasn't happened, but if it does, I have it. It makes it just super easy. Over on the right side, this is gonna be a junk drawer in a sense. Honestly, I'm gonna give you the basics on what you need in this drawer. There's a lot of junk in here that doesn't need to be in here, so I'm gonna give you the basics. Sharpies, a knife, I have a spoke wrench, and then like these dental picks, super handy. Wouldn't think that you'd need them, but those are super handy. Then we're gonna go to these two bottom drawers here. Again, keeping it super simple and super clean. I've got a big gripper. This thing's super handy for like exhaust springs, and honestly, I use this thing the most for just taking my oil filler on and off. So I have that. Obviously, snippers, a pair of scissors, and then just a pair of needle nose pliers. These all just, again, super simple. I don't need 10 of them. It's dirt bikes. This is set up for dirt bikes, and I only need one of them. It's not very, very, like if you're at the track, you're not gonna need 2 needle nose pliers. Very often, or very little, you're gonna need more than one. So just keep it simple and easy. On the left side, again, keeping it super simple. I have some safety glasses, I've got a oil filter and a spark plug, Scotch-Brite pad if I need it. This is a key piece in here, is safety wire. This is gonna be for grips, or, I mean, most of the time I'm using it for grips, but it does come in handy for other little things. And then I have some grip glue. This is for transponder. Not that I'm gonna need that very often, but I have one just in case one breaks. And that's about it. So again, super simple, super clean and easy. So next up, before we go to our bottom three, we're gonna go to the middle. This one, I have a lot of these. So this is just screwdrivers in here. I don't know why I have so many, but there's just different sizes, flatheads, big ones, little ones. You know, so from something as small as that to, something as big as this. You never know. It just helps to have different sizes. Do you need to have 10 or 15 of these? Absolutely not. I've acquired them over the years, and so I just have a bunch in here. But I would say the key thing to have would be have various sizes. So if you have 3, just have 3 different sizes of each. Got a bunch in there. That's gonna cover the top portion. And now we're gonna move on to the bottom section, which has some of the other stuff that you've probably been wondering. And this bottom section is where I'm gonna have some more moto specific stuff. So this is where you're gonna wanna pay attention. I'm gonna point out some of the things that are key to have in your toolbox. And I'm gonna make sure to point that out so you know, okay, I need this for moto, or this would be a nice to have for moto. In this first drawer here on the top, these are below my top 4 or 5, we have wrenches. I like to keep these super organized. They're metric. They're going from smallest to biggest. My smallest is going to be a 7 and a 6, and then going all the way up to 19. For the most part, 6 through 19 is going to be every range that you're going to have on a dirt bike. For a wrench, very little are you going to need something bigger. So I started out with like some hand-me-down Craftsman that I got, and then just kind of maybe stole out of my dad's toolbox. These are all my OGs. And then I found out that Harbor Freight makes ratcheting crescent wrenches or wrenches, and I was like, wait, ratcheting? That's legit. Like, why not? So this was more of just a nice to have. I honestly use these more because I like them more. And they were from Harbor Freight. They weren't expensive at all. A lot of the manufacturers use the same bolt sizes. So once you become familiar with them, it's very easy to remember which ones you need. And when you only have 7, or let's just say you have 10 in here, that's way easier to deal with than to have like 50. So I'm gonna show you my other toolbox that's got all these other wrenches and how much of a pain that is. So here you can see, these are all of my other wrenches. This is a complete nightmare. This is what you don't want your toolbox to look like. 1, this is so much weight, and 2, it's a mess. It makes it super hard to figure everything out versus that. You know, okay, I need a 12, here it is, versus I need a 12, like, okay, you gotta dig around, do a bunch of stuff, like that is a pain. You don't wanna do that. For this, keep it simple, keep it light, and only bring what you need. And again, this is gonna get you what you need. Your 6 through 19, gonna be money. Moving down to our next drawer, this one is gonna be really important. I think this is the one that I use the most because it has the most moto parts in it. And there's a couple key things in here. So first off, one of the first things that I ever bought for my dirt bike was this Bike Master T-wrench that came with a set of sockets. Again, these are metric ones that, again, these are 10 through 19, just like my wrenches were, but in socket form. Then I have star bits for the Husqvarna's, KTM's, Gas. There's a lot of star stuff, so these were a must. Cowie, Yamaha, they don't have as many, so you might not need that, but it's good to have. There's like your 6s and your 7s. I like to keep on little ones, little ratchets, because they take, you know, I've always got the littler head, so I like to keep a couple of these set off to the side. Again, just for easy grabbing, so I have a 7 on one, a 6 on one, and then a little star on another. I've got a couple of those handy to have. One of the next big things is, for me, instead of doing a wrench that was the right size for my rear sprocket or my rear axle, I just have one of these set aside. This is all I use it for, is taking my rear wheel on and off. I don't know, it seems, I guess when I'm switching wheels, I need this, so it was nice to have just a dedicated one. Growing up, I didn't. I just had whatever I had in my toolbox, but now, because I got a little bit more moto specific with my tools, I have one that's just set for that. I know I can grab it. This goes to the rear wheel. Next, I've got a couple different various sockets in here, and I have a couple various extensions in here for different spots. You never know what you're gonna need, so it's nice to have one really big one, maybe a little shorter one, give you some options. So that's this drawer. Again, simple, not a ton in here, only what I need. And last but not least, we've got our bottom drawer here. This one has stuff that I use all the time. Harbor Freight hammer with a rubber side and then a harder side. Obviously, as you can tell, I've used this thing for a long time. This is a must-have in my toolbox. I have some zip ties down here. A really good tool is a fork seal cleaner. This is from Risk Racing. They make it with this nice little holder. This thing's a game changer. When your seals start leaking, you go to the sand track, you get back, it's leaking, you need to clean them out. This is a great tool to have. I like to keep that in my toolbox. I always keep a pair of gloves. You never know when you're gonna need them. Doing a filter, maybe forgot some. I do usually carry a drill, so I like to have a drill bit set. Do I need this in my toolbox? Probably not, but is it nice to have? Yes. Again, here's a bead buddy. This is for just when changing tires. I honestly don't need this in here, but I keep it in here just to have it. I've got a couple levers in here and a shifter in the event you're gonna break one in a tip over, something dumb. And then kind of last but not least, this thing is super important right here. So this is a full bolt kit for my dirt bike. It's brand specific, so KTM Husqvarna gas. And this has a ton of bolts that I'm gonna need, for the whole bike. Anytime something falls off, breaks, goes missing, I have a full bolt kit here. As a younger rider and a more beginner rider, I didn't have one of these, and I just had like a bolt box that was just filled with miscellaneous bolts and stuff. But as I got, again, more specific on my tools, I've always invested in one of these. It is a little bit expensive, but when a bolt goes missing and you're at the track and you're going up to the line and you realize that you're missing a motor mount bolt because it vibrated out your last moto, you can go back and go, okay, I know I have one of those in there. Super handy, super helpful. And so I would recommend this for any of the moto guys. This is, a bolt kit made for your bike is just a must have. Whether you get the big one or the small one, have one because it just makes a big difference. You've just tapped into Jetboy Co.'s toolbox and a toolbox breakdown for motocross specific tools, dirt bike specific tools. This is enough to rebuild a full dirt bike. Do you need all of these tools right now, right this second? No, but are they good to have? Yes. Thanks for checking in to the Dirt Bike Lifestyle and checking out Jetboy Co.'s toolbox. It's been a pleasure showing you around my toolbox, and we will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.